words said in the aftermath are just too confusing. Now I spend my days watching you throw stones at someone who's already dead. And if this is the way we all begin, so how can I ask for any more?
Hey, welcome back. I'm Rob Dunkelberger, and this is, wait for it, the Stages of Minnesota. I hope you feel well rested after a week off. I know I do. Though we try not to be too taxing on our viewers, I know I need a little time to recuperate from the 11-day marathon that is the Minnesota Fringe Festival. In this episode, I'll be joined by my colleague Jill Schaefer of Cherry and Spoon. She'll help us to get the Fringe into its PJs and all tucked in nice and cozy. We'll read it a story. It always likes stories about itself. It's that kind of festival. We'll get it a final drink of water and wish it pleasant dreams before sending it off to bed for another year. But first, here's a look at all the Golden Lanyard Award winners from the closing night awards ceremony, followed by the 10 shows that won the Stages of Minnesota Fringe of the Day Award.
My name is Dawn Bentley, and no matter what Rat Nest says, I am the person who runs the Fringe Festival. So we have some awards to give out tonight.
We're going to start with the audience-driven awards, and that begins with the venue awards. Venue awards are given to the show in each venue that has the highest audience for the first 4 of their performances.
I'm Jen Jensen. I house managed and box officed a few different places because I was a swing this year for front of house. And Barbara Barker Golden Lanyard Award goes to Cabin Fever.
Hi, yep, I'm Zach, house manager at Mixed Blood. Our winner is Your Hello to My Goodbye.
My name is Christopher Skelly. All right, so at the thrust this year, it is Joan of Arc.
The next award is for the Southern Theater.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maria Vassalou, problem solver. Let's see who won. Oh, Death, a musical.
My name is Luca. I'm a box officer at Mixed Blood. This is my first year here. And the award goes to Breach.
Hello, my name is Jared. I was one of the box officers at Open Eye Theater. Thank you all for coming out to the satellite venue and supporting us and great stuff. Our Golden Lanyard Award goes to Final Dress.
Hello, I'm Nicole. I am part of the Fringe front of house core team staff. And our winner is the temporary
All right, I'm Robin. First, this is my 21st consecutive year having any sort of involvement with the Fringe. I was the box officer at the Thrust and at the X. Yeah. Songs Without Words are the
The first audience pick award goes to none other than Your Hello to My...
Can we all get a happy birthday for Connie? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Connie. Happy birthday to you.
The award goes to The Lasso Way. For my team's sake, I'm so glad that this crew was in the Thrust this year because the next audience pick award goes to Joan of Arc. What is the spirit of the Fringe?
You know, when something is just like weird, kind of funky, cringy as that's how you describe it. But also joy. And also like, I don't know, it's like, it's a thing and I don't know, but it's just like really cringy. Sorry, deaf people. I'm sorry, your children. Sorry. Anyway, this is what audiences felt was the spirit of the Fringe. Damn, that hurt. Your hello to my goodbye.
Dawn, you want to do the Fringe with Benefits member pick?
So these people, when they pick a show that's meaningful to them, that's pretty amazing. And this year, they have picked Songs Without Words for the best.
We're going to present a very special award called the Beverly Award.
You guys know Matthew Everett, right? He's a blogging maniac, that guy. He'd send me like 3-4 links a day. I reviewed this, I reviewed that, I did a deep dive on this one. Amazing. But a few years ago, when I first started here, and for many years before my existence, Beverly, his mother, used to come to the Fringe, all the way from Pennsylvania. And she was a hardcore Fringer. And we lost Beverly. And we were, the lights in our theaters are dimmer because of that loss. But she was such a dedicated member of our Fringe family and a dedicated audience member that we created an audience award called the Beverly. So this particular audience award usually goes out to somebody who's doing something special, something kind of wild, out of the ordinary, more than just the average Fringer. And so this year our Beverly goes to Helene Barcelo. Helene, you were chosen because you did the most number of volunteer shifts. You still saw more than 30 shows. You used to be a Fringe with Benefits member, and you support adventurous art year-round. And we're grateful.
We have another special award called the Brian Award.
The Brian Award honors another longtime tech of the Fringe world. The Brian Award honors the legacy of longtime Fringe Festival theater technician Brian Gunch as a technical director of the Bryant Lake Bowl Theater for 20 years. Brian was an essential member of their team as well as ours. This award is bestowed upon the festival tech who demonstrates Brian's abundant creativity and resourceful ability to make theater magic with humble resources. So this year, I would like to award that to Emmett from the Southern.
Staff Awards. We all get to choose a show that we think was exemplary for one reason or another.
I would like to award mine to Husk Vessel.
A Song in the Dark by Vinky Vinky.
Half my staff couldn't stop talking about was, of course, none other than Rat Max.
So my award is going to The Way Out is Through.
So this is my staff pick for One Who Is Home.
And as a storyteller watching this show by a first-time producer, doing absolutely beautiful work, leaving me in tears multiple times throughout the show, I have to give this award to Against My Will.
So those are the staff awards. But wait, there's more. Because we as a staff also get together, as a staff we want to give that show an award.
This one is for somebody who took a big leap of faith, who did something they've never done before, who went outside of their comfort zone, who perhaps moved from being a blogger to a producer. So this award goes to Kendra Plant for This one is the future of the Fringe. Fringe won't work if we're just the same companies over and over, doing the same thing over and over. We need people we've never heard of. We need people who've never done theater before. We need people who are asking questions we never thought of before. So for all of those reasons, the future of the Fringe goes to Salt.
Yeah! All right, I got a couple more for you here. This one is going to a producer who made me very happy this year. Brand new producer, did everything right. It's actually for the entire team. This production team came to all of the workshops, checked in every Friday online, asked all the right questions, and tried to get a snake adopted. So Neon Breeze, you are the Rockstar Production Team of the Year. And this is an award I'm calling, this is the story we need right now for Brad Lawrence, the big secret. Next award, this is the Flip of a Fringe Trope Award.
At some point, one group is going to ask you to be the uncredited extra actor on their cast. One of the most common ways that we see this is in the, oh no, the show is going wrong trope. I thought I knew what this show was. We've seen so many. I've been asked to do this thing so many times, and then by the end of it, I went, no, that was rad. I loved that. So my favorite usage of this trope and the flip of this trope goes to Motz's box. Yeah!
Independent producer did something different. Not only did they create a whole environment for you to go inside and a puzzle to solve and a game to play in your 1 hour, but they did it 55 times. The show must go on. A backstage of steak game, David pizza. Sometimes you stumble into a show, right? And you're like, it's not what I expected. That was really fun. That was awesome. But sometimes you stumble into a bar. Yes! And you maybe do shots with the show after their last performance. And you think, these kids are awesome. So, for the shots and shrimps, if you know, you know, I'm giving this to Latunda. I have 4 more awards to give, and these are all the artist-driven awards. The first one we're going to give out is the Underdog Award. This goes to a first-time producer or first-time Minnesota Fringe producer. And you all really loved Corey Casper's Insomnia Bell. Oh gosh, I love this show. And I will never say ocean the same way you're going. All your shimmering gold. And our final artist award of the night is one that I know you all love because you kept coming up to me and going, have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Breach!
thought it'd be fun to have one of my colleagues, Jill Schaefer of Cherry and Spoon, join us for a little post-Fringe discussion. So, Jill, what did you think of this year's Fringe Festival?
I thought it was really great. I saw 39 shows, and I don't think I saw a bad show. They were all like each day just kept getting better and better. I'm like, how does this festival keep getting better?
This was a great year, probably the best that I've experienced since I started fringing. I saw 48 shows. I intended to see 45, and I left myself intentionally some dinner breaks because I promised myself last year, give myself some dinner breaks, and not because I think last year I did 50. I kind of had my fingers crossed when I made that promise, so it didn't count.
It's so hard as the festival goes on and people start talking about shows, like you just want to see as much as you can.
Before we get started talking about sort of our top shows, 503.
Yeah, it was a really great show that unfortunately had to cancel 3 of the 5 performances due to illness. But I saw one of those 2 shows, and it's really great, and it's by Jack Donkey Productions. They're a really exciting young company. Jeffrey Nolan, who I know is a favorite of yours and mine as well, wrote the play and performed in it. It's adapted from a dystopian novel called We, written by a Russian writer in the early 20th century. It was just really well written, well performed. There's a great use of like projections and music, and it was really relevant and really well done. So I hope they can bring that back at some point.
And, you know, it taught me a lesson this year that you see your favorites in terms of performers or production companies at their first performance. Let's kind of go through what some of our top shows are. We should preface this by saying these are not necessarily each of our top 5. These are from our top 20.
I posted at cherryandspoon.com. You can read my favorites list, which I think is like 16 shows, which was really hard to even, I mean, I had like 10 more that I could have included. So yeah, we're just going to be talking about a handful of our favorites.
Jill, why don't you kick us off?
I'm going to start with What We Wore, created by an artist named Gabby Jones, who is a native Minnesotan, but she went to college in California, studied theater. A few years ago, she started a social media platform called Gabby's Vintage, GABIS_vintage. So I went to the show thinking it was going to be vintage clothes, it's going to be fun and fashion, but it was about so much more. It just blew me away how like thoroughly researched this show was. She uses the clothing to sort of talk about her female ancestors because, as we know, history often just records the men. And so she uses these items of clothing as a connection to the women in her family, and she tells their stories, she tells her stories. She covers domestic abuse and addiction and the male gaze and sexual harassment. And she started reading books like The Feminine Mystique and The Second Sex. And so she pulls in quotes and current statistics about like girls and women's self-confidence and like all these things that she just wraps up really beautifully. And if you want to see that show, it is part of the FIPS Encore in Hudson, Wisconsin next weekend, which I think we'll talk about more, but that you do have a chance to see that show.
The FIPS isn't that far away. Like, it's totally doable.
Yeah.
But it's also far enough away that it's hard to do it 5 times in 1 week. Okay, my first one is Hamluke, which I'm a huge fan of Hamlet, and Star Wars is such an integral part of my childhood. It's the story of Hamlet told through the lens and using lines and characters and costumes and things from the Star Wars universe. Did you get to see Hamluke, or?
I did see it, and I don't know Star Wars at all, but I still really enjoyed it, and I loved like how they did the name mashups. Leia was Ophelia and Princess Leia, and there are all these like, you know, almost like they make couple names that were like really clever and really nods to that. I do know Hamlet a little bit better than Star Wars, but I think it also points to like how foundational Shakespeare is in our, you know, culture, and that like you may not think you're doing a Shakespearean adaptation, but it's just like in our DNA, and it just maybe comes out unintentionally.
Some of the clever things were Polonius is Yoda, who famously
Yes.
talks sort of in weird backwards language somewhat. His phrasing's funny. And Polonius is famous as the person who just babbles on and on and on at times. So it's, it's finding those ways in which the characters link up that's really quite clever. If you know Star Wars, like, most males, at least to my generation, know it backwards and forwards because we lived on those first 3 films. It's really clever. Just the lines they throw in that could seem like a normal line, but it as a small line of dialogue from one of those films, and it just has another meaning to it.
And it sounded very Shakespearean too. Like there are a
Yes.
lot of like recognizable lines from Shakespeare, but with just like 1 or 2 words switched out
Yep.
too.
Yep. Very clever. All right, what do you have next?
I'm going to talk about Breach, which was at Theater in the Round. And, Fringe shows kind of fall into categories. There are certain types of shows you see at Fringe, but this show was like different than anything else I saw at Fringe. It was a psychological thriller. It was about a fishing vessel. I think they were in the Bering Sea looking for crabs, all women, non-binary characters, and there was some stuff going on. There was maybe a mutiny, there was maybe some bad things happening, but very suspenseful. It was really tightly written, fantastic cast of 6, and really great use of lighting, complete darkness. Yes. And they'd have flashlights, sound, this crazy puppet. And it was just very captivating.
And what a cast of performers that I really try and catch anything they're in, because they're sort of these up-and-comers that I think are the future of the Twin Cities theater scene. I thought it was beautifully done. That was definitely in my top 10. Okay, so Jason Schomer did a show in my first Fringe Festival about, I think it was called Letters from Louis or to Louis. It was about his relationship with the comedian Louis Anderson, and this was shortly after Louis Anderson had passed away. I liked that show. Went into this expecting I'm going to like this show because I think he's pretty funny and a good storyteller. Best thing I've seen him do. It's called 50, a totally rad comedy about the gnarly reckoning of a Gen Xer. And the parallels to my own life, I could not believe it. We're about the same age. You can read my review of that show because I listed out 10, okay, he got laid off from his job this year. I got laid off from my job this year. He went on this hike that was insane in Hawaii to try and see a waterfall. I did that same hike. I never felt so connected to a performer, particularly a comedy performer who's there to try and get laughs and is exaggerating things, but just every reference just connected to me personally. And it was a brilliant show. He's a performer that I'm really going to be watching for opportunities outside of the Fringe Festival to check him out, because obviously there's a generational connection there as well.
Yeah, I did not see that show, and I don't know that I've seen any of his shows, so I'll have to watch for him next year. Yeah. Next, I have a touring artist who sold out almost all of our shows. The show is called Songs Without Words, the Mendelssohn play, or as I like to say it with my German minor, Lieder ohne Worte, Songs Without Words. Jennifer Bolter plays the famous composer who we all have heard of, Felix Mendelssohn. But then she also plays his sister Fanny, his older sister Fanny, who is an equally talented musician, but both her father and Felix discouraged her from pursuing a professional career in music because she was a woman. And that's not something they thought women should do. And so she went the traditional route. She got married, she had a baby, but she always had this burning need to do music inside of her. And so she did do music. She eventually published. But Jennifer just beautifully switches back and forth playing these 2 siblings. And it's written in a very modern sort of conversational way. And so it's not at all old and archaic. It feels very modern, and the themes feel very modern. She plays snippets of the songs as she's talking about them. And they tragically both died quite young of, I think, a stroke. There was something in their family where a lot of people died young from stroke. So it was this sort of pursuing music as long as you can, like sort of an Alexander Hamilton, right? Like they're running out of time because their lives and careers were cut short.
Songs Without Words. If there was one show that when you asked people, which I was asking a lot of people what your favorite show is this year, Songs Without Words was probably the answer I got most frequently. A lot of people were seeing that. It was selling out shows. It seems to happen every year where one of the most talked about shows is in the smallest venue possible. Songs Without Words was in the experimental theater at Rarig, which I believe is the smallest venue.
Because it is an intimate storytelling kind of show. So I think it was the right venue for it.
My next show is called Box Cutter Harmonica, which was very difficult to write about after seeing it because there was a secret, which we can now reveal. It is billed as a two-hander between local artist Jeremy Moats and traveling artist Martin Dockery. The twist to this show is that the director of the show, Thomas Bond, is out front of the theater ahead of time, seemingly sort of in a panic. He is waiting for one of the cast members to show up. Thomas, how's it going? And he's like, kind of worried, waiting on a cast member. He's going to be here. I know he will, but it's getting a little close. Like, oh,
that was the pre-show
Yeah.
outside the show that I didn't see.
But you get some of that once you get in the theater because Jeremy is up there sort of pacing, looking around, checking his phone. He's clearly nervous that Martin isn't going to get there in time. Eventually, he's like, he's just running a little bit late, but he kind of likes to make an entrance and show me up. So we'll just get going. And then he get texts throughout it. And about that time, you realize, oh, he's not really coming, is he? And he isn't. He wasn't even in town. He was somewhere else putting on a show at a different Fringe, I believe. They don't tip the hand until you start to clue in as the show's in progress. I mean, the show is interesting. It's about Robert Johnson, I believe the name is, of the guitarist who supposedly met the devil at the crossroads, become the greatest blues guitarist, and then famously dies young. And it's about that myth. And it goes back to
Michelangelo and some artist haven't heard of. I don't know if it's real. Probably it's real. But this artist we've never heard of, because when he went to make a deal with the devil, he didn't go through with the deal. And so nobody knows who he is.
It has a wonderful prop. I think it's an actual box cutter harmonica. And I'm very curious where they got that from. The show is very interesting in itself, but it is that twist that just kind of raises it to the next level, but makes it really hard to talk about. What a feat to pull off at the Fringe, because I never heard anyone talk about it.
I saw the last show, and I 100% thought Martin Dockery was in the show.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was completely pulled off, and I thought it was a really well-written show, how it, pulled all the different stories together. And then also, Moats and Dockery, there's a bit of that. Is Moats going to make a deal with the devil to become a Fringe artist like Dockery? And it was really, I think really everything was tied together really well.
All right, what do you have next?
This was a first-time storyteller named Michael Quadrosi, and he's an actor. We've seen him on stages around town, Lyric Arts, various other places. But he tells a very personal, very vulnerable story. He grew up on the East Coast with a lot of childhood trauma with his mother, who was a narcissist. His parents were divorced. He didn't see his dad a lot. Then his dad died young. So just a lot of trauma that he's carrying around. And it's just really beautiful and honest. And then he talks about being, a theater artist and going to therapy and healing from this. And how do you become your own person when maybe the people you grew up with didn't really give you the foundation for that. So I thought it was really, really well told story. He used all these props. He literally dragged baggage out on the stage and then began to unpack his baggage. So it was really moving, really well done.
Great show. So next up, I have Jewelry Power Elite, which is Lauren Anderson's first solo show, which when she tells you that, that's kind of surprising because she has been on the comedy scene here in the Twin Cities for decades.
I think she's one of the longest reigning cast members at Brave New Workshop.
And it's fantastic because I could care less about jewelry. In fact, I don't even notice when people are wearing jewelry. She talks about all of her jewelry obsession, how much she loves jewelry, but she relates it then to stories about her life, her grandmother, her mother, why she likes these brooches and all of these things. And she even gives out some jelly bracelets. For a show about jewelry, I just found it incredibly moving. I like when an artist tells you such a personal story, like Michael's show, Against My Will, where you really feel like you're making a connection with that artist, connect to their stories, and see the world in a different way. I'll never look at jewelry the same now. And that show also is part of the Fringe Encore at the Phipps.
Yeah, I loved it as well. And I do love jewelry, but it sort of gave me greater insight. And now when I put on jewelry, I think about it like there definitely are pieces that you put on to comfort you or make you feel a certain way. And she really articulated that beautifully. My last one is, I think this is the title, In the Garden of American Heroes. And this was by Andrew Erskine Wheeler, who has done several of these solo shows, really deeply researched historical pieces. He did one about his ancestors, sort of looking at the Civil War. That one is called Whoosh, and that's going to be part of History Theater's upcoming season, so you have a chance to see that. But this year he did a new one in which he played General Custer. And General Custer was in, I think, purgatory or something, and he was lamenting the fact that he was not part of the planned memorial park that's being built, I guess, in South Dakota. I don't know if it's by Mount Rushmore. And it's supposed to be 250 American heroes to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. You can go online and find out who those supposed heroes are. But Custer is not one of those heroes, and so he just tells his story. He does not ask for our forgiveness. He tells us about all the horrible things he did. And Andrew is just so committed in his performance. Like, he just is this person. You know, he literally strips off layers, builds this sort of shadow of a person on the floor. Really great use of props, just kind of centrally located in the gorgeous Southern Theater. Another great use of tech and music and lights, and just really, really thought-provoking, really relevant. Another great show from him.
He does a great job with bringing history to life. So my last one is a sad carousel 2, The Timely Death of Herschel Doucheberg. I think is how you say it. Something like that. This is a sequel, apparently, to a show that the creator and star Sam Landman did.
I think it was 15 years ago.
Okay,
2010, I
yeah,
believe.
so a long time ago. I, of course, did not see that one, and you didn't need to. Here's the thing with Fringe. It's the luck of the draw what venue you get. It's the luck of the draw what time slot you got. This show got 2 weeknight opening shows, which is at 5:30, which for people with jobs, I think that is a tricky show to get to, the 5:30 on a weekday.
For people who are not like us.
You're
People
right.
Not like us who cancel every other plan to see every show.
Exactly.
People who have lives,
right?
basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I never heard anyone really talking about this show, but I saw it on opening night. It was the first show I saw, I think, at Fringe this year. And I loved it. It was hilarious. I'm a huge fan of a lot of the performers in this. Sam Landman, who I'm going to see anything Sam Landman's in. Eric Webster, who is a member of the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society, which I'm a big fan of. This in humor about the Tyler Michaels King Memorial Hospital and things like that.
I loved all of those references. There are references, you know, he woke up 15 years later and, you know, how are the Ivies? I'm going to win an Ivy. Oh, sorry.
Right.
No more Ivies. Well, we can do it at Huge Theater. Oh, sorry. No more Huge Theater. So there's all these great references, all these great props. I loved this magazine, Fringe Hunks Monthly, with, you know, some Fringe hunks on it. I love all of that self-referential sort of theater-y, local theater-y stuff.
If there was a show that deserved a larger audience, that was it. We both know that there's a lot of word of mouth at the Fringe, but if people don't see the show, they can't be talking about the show later. Some shows like that just fall through the cracks. Like the Jason Schomer show, I don't know how that did. I saw it towards the end of the run, and I told you about it, but it was really too late. You couldn't fit into your schedule.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think there's a lot of people that just, oh, I'm not going out to Strike because it was at Strike Theater. That's a trek. I'm not going to take that or whatever. It's just like, boy, if you knew what was out there, and Jewelry Power Elite, if you knew what was out there. Now that one I think
Rec
sold
League
out.
was a really great show.
Yeah, that's what happened. So any honorable mentions, things that were on your list that you just...
Oh, I love the Gentleman's Pratfall Club Comedy Suitcase. You know, it's Levi Weinhagen and Joshua English Grimshaw just falling down for an hour, which there's nothing funnier. Levi was also in The Clown Funeral, which was just really sweet and silly and goofy. I loved the Book of Mordor. I love the Book of Mormon and Lord of the Rings, and it was just so cleverly done with like all of the songs from the Book of Mormon, but with words and characters from the Lord of the Rings. That was just like super fringy, like probably my favorite mashup ever I've seen at Fringe.
Sure.
What else? What about your other?
You know, the Wiki, which I saw in the last slot of the Fringe Festival.
Too, yeah.
And part of me was like, oh, I wish I'd seen that earlier. I could have told people about it. But I think that was selling out a lot of shows. So I don't think they needed my word of mouth. But that was a wonderful clowning show. An Exorcism, Don't You Know, was a lot of fun. I don't know if you caught that one.
I did. Yeah, okay. That was fun.
Yeah.
Very, you know, you gotta get some lutefisk jokes in there somewhere, or it's not the Fringe.
I also saw a lot of good improv shows, and one of them that I really liked was Final Dress, which was a great concept. Great. Sean Dillon and Michael and that I don't know how to spell that, but that's how you say it, I think. They have a different guest director for each performance who tells them the name of the play that they're rehearsing and, you know, walks them through, gives them directorial notes, has them redo scenes. Try it with this. And it's very clever, and they're great performers, and I'm sure it was great every performance. There was a lot of really good improv this year. That was
I loved that one. And also Rec League, which is the Mike Boda show out at Strike.
Yes. Yep.
Which was just a bunch of friends playing softball and one guy they kind of hate. I'm a baseball fan. They really kind of made the baseball make sense with like people were going up to bat. There were lots of foul balls rolling through the dugout there. But, you know, they'd get hits and run across the stage. There was a scene where they were like catching balls in the outfield, and they were like really catching balls. So I thought it was really cleverly done where they really, pardon the pun, had lots of balls in the air with baseball and the characters and the scenarios and the relationships. And I think they did a great job kind of juggling everything.
It is a marathon, and we both see a lot of shows.
It's such a whirlwind, and those 11 days go by so fast. Like a blink of an eye and it's over.
We're exhausted by the end, but it's worth it. Absolutely. All right, thanks, Joe. If you missed the Fringe Festival, there's one last chance to see 5 of the shows over at the Phipps Center for the Arts in Hudson, Wisconsin. From Wednesday, August 20th through Saturday, August 23rd, the following shows will each have one performance during the Fringe Encore at the Phipps series. They are John Bennett, Americant, on Wednesday, August 20th at 7 p.m. Jewelry Power Elite, Lauren Anderson's solo show that both Jill and I saw and loved, is on Thursday, August 21st at 7 p.m. A Good Cancer to Have is on Friday, August 22nd at 7 p.m. What We Wore, which Jill was very high on, is at 2 p.m. on Saturday, August 23rd. And finally, Mind Reader by Stephen Nicholas, which neither Jill or I saw, but I heard from several reliable sources was really cool. Closes out the Encore series on Saturday, August 23rd at 7 p.m. The Phipps Center is about a 45-minute drive from where the Stages of Minnesota is located in Hopkins. But if you're in Minneapolis or St. Paul, it will be an even shorter drive. I can vouch for Jewelry Power Elite as a show worth making the trek for wherever you are located. We'll link to the Phipps Center for the Arts website, where you can go to read more about the shows and purchase tickets in the show notes.
do I really have to go? Hard pressed to find a reason to brave the cold. So warm inside your cabin, give me just another moment. Wrapped inside the blanket of your body, the blanket of your body. Time to hit the open road. Loving arms await me, their domain knows me alone. Never a single question, 35 years full of holiday cheer, and still no invitation for my +1. But underneath this winter sky, I just can't seem to say goodbye. So let the snow fall, let the drifts just build a wall 10 feet high. Blow you blizzard wind, so cruel that even the bravest won't begin to drive. Stranded for the holiday, we could really celebrate. I've got you to keep me warm, so bring on the storm. Autumn did its best to just hang on through mid-December, and I have done my best to just digress and keep it all together. But this forever bachelor has been taken by surprise, and this hornet's nest within my chest just will not be denied. Let the snow fall, let the drifts just build a wall 10 feet high. 10 feet high, blow you blizzard wind, so cruel that even the bravest won't begin to drive. Stranded for the holiday, we could really celebrate. I've got you to keep me warm, so bring on the storm. Like the constellations, validation is just so hard to find, and family is a broken line. Will we tiptoe and stumble till the end of time? Underneath this winter sky, Mother Nature, Father Time, just please don't make me leave my love behind. The snow is beginning to fall, the drifts will soon become the walls we hide behind. Stranded for the holiday, with gratitude we will celebrate. I've got you to keep me warm, surrounded by this brutal, beautiful storm.
Well, hey, we did it. That's it for another episode. I want to thank Jill Schaefer of Cherry and Spoon for helping me put the Minnesota Fringe Festival to bed. We'll link in the show notes to Cherry and Spoon, so you can read all of Jill's thoughts on this year's Fringe Festival, as well as her reviews of the shows she sees. Sorry there was no review this week. I did see 2 shows, but they both closed last weekend. One of them was a new-to-me dance company called Rhythmically Speaking, which I thought was fantastic. Their show, Groovers and Makers 25, has closed, but you can catch them at the State Fair this Thursday and Friday at the East Grandstand Plaza for multiple performances in the morning and early afternoon each day. If you're out there, I highly recommend checking them out. We'll be back next week with our 2025-2026 theater season preview episode. I'm excited about this one, and we do still have room to feature a couple more theater companies. So if you'd like to be included in the season preview or want to sponsor an upcoming episode, email me at robdunkelberger@thestagesofmn.com. That's also where you, the viewer, can send your questions, comments, as well as weigh in on the hotly debated issue of whether or not there should be singing in the Stages of Minnesota. You can read all of my reviews on my blog at thestagesofmn.com. Whether you're watching the YouTube edition or listening to the podcast version, I'll be there for you. Always remember, and never forget, if you see me out at a show, don't be shy. Come on, say hi. Let's get a picture so you too can be on the Stages of Minnesota. Thanks as always to Ryan Lee for his generous use of his music. Every bit of music used on the Stages of Minnesota comes from Ryan's albums, which you can find at ryanlee.bandcamp.com. If you enjoyed the show, please help spread the word. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, review, rinse, and repeat the show. Until next time, as Carol Jackson told Tubby Frobisher in the Subadar while on photographic safari, go see a show.
'Cause it's all over but the shouting. Every soul needs light, but mine's been wasting away in the afternoon shade, out of sight. And I am not the pure and perfect one, but my branches are still bent toward the sun.